Namaskar, dear seekers, and welcome to our live stream today. It is nice that you are joining us on a Sunday, and today we are going to share a topic that is quite sensitive and is also about what is happening now. It's what do you feel about the World War III predictions? So our live stream is approximately for an hour durations. I will be sharing some points for around 15 to 20 minutes. And after, of course, it is your questions and you can share questions, comments also. So first, I would like to introduce myself in short. My name is Syriac and I come from France. I live in India for more than 10 years in an ashram and I practice spirituality for more than 20 years. And presently I'm in Germany. I was traveling around Germany. I will resume soon to travel across Europe, even though in this time, because it is requires to meet curious in different parts of the world. And about SSRF, SSRF is a acronym of the Spiritual Science Research Foundation, and it was founded in 2006 with the blessing of His Holiness Paratpal Guru Dr. Atavali, and with a source of inspirations. And SSRF has many articles, more than 740 articles on different aspects and topics about spirituality, about spiritual practice, about spiritual phenomena, way of life. So of course I invite you to read all our articles that are present on the website. And in conjunction also with the Maharishi University of Spirituality, where we conduct a lot of research using biofeedback device, where we also present many of those topics on our website. We also on the university present academic papers as well as conferences. So of course you can visit also our social media and YouTube channel. Today in our live stream, today also we have two seekers who will be moderating the chat on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So don't hesitate to share your questions about this topic or some comment. So through the live stream, I will come back to you. Before we start our live stream, what we do for around 2 minutes or so, we will chant or meditate just to achieve some peace of mind or some calmness. So what we will do, we will play on the background a divine name. So what you can just close your eyes. You can either meditate, chant, or you can also focus on your own breath. So I will ask you to close your eyes now, and then we can chant for 2 minutes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So dear seekers, you can open your eyes, and if you are joining us
So welcome to our live stream today. And today the topic is, what do you feel about the World War III predictions? So I will be sharing some points for around 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, and the remaining time, it can be your questions, your comments. Already before we started, I think many of you started to share what you feel. So don't hesitate, and we have two moderators on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter that will collect your comment and questions. And towards the end, after that, I will start taking your questions. So about what is happening, actually for the past many centuries and 5-6 centuries, many seers and saints have actually shared predictions that the world will face very difficult time. And that also been mentioned in many holy texts of different religions. And some of you may have heard of different seers. Some are known as Nostradamus. We have predicted adverse time. You may have heard some about Faustina or Fatima, who also share about that there will be some terrible war. Some may or may not know about Germany. His name is Alois Hallmeyer, or Edgar Cayce from USA, who share about natural catastrophes that will come. Or there is also from Islamic or Sufism predictions that also warn of the current times. And many saints and sages from India have already predicted those adverse times. And now, as we are speaking, we are also facing on the news, as you can see, in Europe, it has started between Russia and Ukraine. And many people are wondering whether this will escalate in a possible World War III. So I wanted to ask, some of you must be having that thought. You already share also, but you can share in the chat whether you feel that maybe that can escalate. So I give you a minute and you can share your thoughts about what you feel. In the meantime, I would like to share that we have done a poll on our Instagram and Facebook, and around 200% participated, and more than 70% say yes, that they feel that the World War III may break out soon. Actually, also on the Red Cross survey that was done in 2020, it was done around 16 countries by the Red Cross, and actually more than half feel that it is more likely that the World War III can happen. So I will just go to see whether there are some comments. I think I will probably to see if I can take, I think few of them I've shared. For some of you, you say that it has started in beginning of February, 24 February. Some of you say that our predictions that we have shared is amazing, and it is visible now to the physical world, and day by day situation is getting worse. From Live and Let Live, you said we are doing a noble work. It's just to share, it's more to share about the prediction, what you feel, whether it will escalate in a World War III. I think I will just go to there's many, so I think it's many you have shared. Some of the, Chris Sweeney said it is written in all the scripture, that is correct. For some of you have questions from Anak Bhatia or different, I will be taking your questions afterwards. I think many of you have more questions than comments, so I will be taking your questions after. So just to continue about SSRF predictions. So actually, before 1999, that is more than 22 years or 23 years ago, His Holiness Dr. Attavoli, that is the source of inspiration of SSRF, actually, and different saints from different paths in India. I have also, when I was there in India, I met some of those saints from different paths. They share that there will be difficult time from the year 1999 to 2025. And after it will come a new era that will be peaceful and positive. And actually since 2006, that means 16 years ago, SSRF have published this article about adverse time or World War III on SSRF. And it was actually when SSRF was founded in 2006. So on the same year, this article also was published on our website. And I believe many of you who are watching us may have read already this article. And just to share also, see our sense or seekers, or those who have a high developed sixth sense, they have received those predictions. And why those predictions also is published is to help people to say, to prepare yourself, to prepare ourselves to be able to face those difficult times. And just something I would like to share about the change of time. So some of you have seen on the website that we may have also changed a little bit further some years of the World War III coming. And just to share that due to the spiritual practice of saints and seekers, as well as the free will of human being, what we meant is if somebody is using their willful actions to do spiritual practice, then there can be a slight change in the timeline of events. Actually, saints of the highest orders are working and trying to make sure that people start spiritual practice, so that in a way God can give some time or to extend this period so that per person or we can do spiritual practice. And if more people practice spirituality, then this negative period will actually get shortened. But as we have mentioned in the end of the article, since 2016, we have mentioned that this period can vary, this change of timeline can vary plus minus of 10%. And this was shared many years ago, and I think in 2012 and 2021, I think, or beginning of the year, it was moved by 1-2 years of the difficult time. So some of you may have this question also, whether it will continue to be pushed further. Actually not, it will not be pushed further, because we are now, as we are witnessing the difficult time, really difficult time now is becoming visible, or is becoming visible to us. But you may have also a question in mind, whether the intensity also will be lessened. And see, actually, even let's say the period of the difficult time may be shortened, but the intensity actually will not change. The intensity will remain the same. That means we will face the same strength of the difficulty. So what to do then? Because many people from all over the world are based themselves on different predictions, as I have shared in the beginning, from different seals, from different parts of the world, and some of them start preparing themselves. So it is called also prepper. Some of you may be knowing, or some of you that you are listening to us today maybe also are preppers or preparing yourself. And SSRF has published many articles since many years how to prepare ourselves for this difficult time to come. So actually is what to prepare ourselves at the physical level. So we will paste also in the chat. We have different articles about medicinal plants. Some will be about the way of cooking, or about using different type of energy, such as solar system. So that this is the things we can do at the physical level. So we have different articles that you can read. And more important is also to prepare ourselves at the mental level. See, preparing ourselves at the physical level is in a way easy or easier. but to prepare ourselves on a mental level, it's maybe more difficult, but in the time to come will be very important, especially is what it means to prepare ourselves at a mental level is to work to overcome our fear, worry, anxiety, stress. And this is process that we can do of overcoming our defect of personality. So basically we may have nice house with solar system, but if we are consumed by fear and worry, then it will not help us. So that's why preparing ourselves also at mental level is very important. And as well to prepare ourselves at a spiritual level. So what we mean as spiritual level is to grow spiritually. And by that we can do spiritual practice. So we'll be sharing some link also, or we can, when we speak today, you can ask questions also what we should do as a spiritual practice. One of the simple practice is chanting God's name. We'll paste also the link in the chat. Also, working of overcoming defect of personality is one actually helping us to grow spiritually, because growing spiritually will act as a spiritual protection, will be protected by God. If somebody reach a higher level or a better level, then God will protect them wherever they are, regardless of their path or religions. So I would like to actually like to go through your questions. I think there are many questions. So about what you feel about those World War III predictions, as well about what we share. So I can go through your questions one by one. I think many of you have shared now. You can go also and visit the different link. You can, after the live stream, visit those links, and definitely if you have always questions after you read those articles, we have a live chat facility where you can always ask questions also on those live chat. So I think I will, from Swati, I think we have first question from Swati P. You say, in older article on the website, establishment of divine kingdom was mentioned as 2024. Now it has changed 2025. Will in future again be postponed? Actually, Swati, I've shared that due to the resolve of sense, of higher sense, the time was pushed ahead. But now the timeline will not change anymore, as we are witnessing now the beginning of the difficult time. So this postponing will not be there. There is a question from Nicola. What I'm going to do if performing spiritual practice such as satseva, that means service to God, become impossible in the near future? Actually, Nicola, since we have spiritual practice, there are different steps, no? One is chanting God's name. So chanting God's name can be done anywhere, anytime. Working on overcoming defect within oneself or ego can also be practiced anywhere, anytime. So maybe some online seva can be maybe not possible, but there may be different service to God when the time comes. Or difficult time comes, there may be different service to God that we can perform, but we can always work on ourselves, such as overcoming defect, ego, and chanting God's name can be done all the time. From Angad Bhatia, you said, this may sound a little bit selfish, but how can we keep ourselves unaffected by what is going on? It is wrong. By sitting in our home, we can't do anything, but the anxiety get triggered badly by news. Actually, on God, that is true. That, and I also heard some people telling me that when they just listen to the news, that is all the time, and people start to get more worry, more fear. And so in a way, that's why we encourage to prepare ourselves at the mental level. That means to overcome worry, fear, anxiety, because we are able to remain more stable. And just to go back to the questions, because I have not finished, if possible to put back the questions that, sorry, I just go back to the questions that was removed. Just because, is it possible, Guillaume Draganaji, to bring back the questions that was removed? Because I did not finish to address the point. I think it's because, gratitude, because you said, no, how can we keep ourselves unaffected, or that I have answered, but it is wrong. By sitting in our home, we can't do anything. See, actually, what happens is when we work on ourselves, we do spiritual practice, then we are able to remain more stable, more calm. And then tomorrow, let's say, you may meet someone, we may meet others, and we can tell them about spiritual practice. We can tell them about chanting also God's name. So that is in something we can do. Or tomorrow, when something become more difficult, then we're able to help others, like wherever they are. Because where we are in a country maybe that is not affected now, but tomorrow, if something happens, we can help them also at a mental level, to tell them to chant, to repeat God's name. We can help them because we are stable by mind. There are examples also that we have seen in history when some people were stable, they were able to help others. From another question from Joey Kulakovsky, do you see possible comeback in the mainland of United States? See, Joey, about these questions, in a way, during this difficult time, no country may be safe, and we have shared in our articles, and more than 50 countries would take part. So about countries that has nuclear weapons, whether who have nuclear weapon or who have been threatened already by threat by nuclear weapon, so there is a risk that those countries may be more affected than others. But in a way, we don't know which country may be more affected than others. Which is, everything is possible, no, in this World War III, because the intensity and the magnitude will be much more as compared to the previous war. From Elton George, you say, when the use of nuclear weapon is expected. Since this is something we can't say with certainty, everybody hopes that we will not come to that level of, to resort. That is, but what is possible, that it is possible that towards the end of 2024, that is when this real problem can happen. So we can't say exactly whether it can happen in some days also, because we have seen also within the conflict of Russia and Ukraine that they have threatened already to use that. So it is a possibility, but the chances may be more towards the end of the difficult time. From Savita Savi, it's another question. You say it's how to get third eyes open to see clairvoyance. Actually, Savita, we have shared now some seers we are able to see, but ultimately trying to open or to seek to open clairvoyance may not protect us from the difficult time, or may not protect us from problems that may arise. What will protect us is to grow spiritually, because there are some people who have a sixth sense, like Nostradamus, or but they did not actually get a happy ending. So that's why whether we can get clairvoyance will not help us first to grow spiritually, and doesn't bring happiness either. And in today's time, until and unless one person grows spiritually to a high extent, then negative energy cannot influence the clairvoyance. Because this is what happened. We had some articles and we have some live stream that we explain that mediums or present clairvoyance can be misguided also by negative energy if they are not performing spiritual practice. A question from live and late live. You said those who are suffering from negative energy attack, will they become free from negative energy after 2025 when spiritually pure era will start? Actually, yes, to a great extent, because those who are affected by negative and who practice spirituality, then they will be free, because negative energy powers will reduce drastically in 2025, and it will be a more positive era. So at that time, those who are practicing spirituality and we are already making effort to overcome problem caused by negative energy will be probably free by it. For those who are not practicing spirituality or maybe affected by departed ancestor or negative energy will still suffer to some extent, because in a way that destiny is still there with the negative energy or the ancestors. But if the person practice spirituality, learn different spiritual healing remedy or how to understand how negative energy affect the person, then the chance to be more free at that time is more. From living wellness, what will happen after World War III, and what country will be most affected? See, during which country will be more affected, as I shared before, we can't say every country, more than 50 countries will take part. No? So many countries will be affected. Those, as I shared before, those who have been threatened already or who are involved in those conflict have more chance, those countries have more chance to be affected than others. And just you said about what will happen after World War III. So after World War III, at a spiritual level, it will be more a positive era. But also at the physical level, there will be destructions. So it will take time and years to rebuild. So actually that's why we need to prepare ourselves to be ready physically and at a mental level, so that actually later on we are able to rebuild for this positive era. Another question from Suil Sethi. After mass destruction, where all souls will go? Will all souls get rebirth in Satya Yuga? See, actually there are, in this era now, there are those who will be remaining alive, then they will continue. Those who will die, they will go to the different plane of existence as per their own spiritual level, and they will be reborn as per their destiny or karma. As we have shared, no, we have also a website and an article. So those souls will go to the different plane of existence, and some will be reborn. If they are conducive for spiritual practice, they will be reborn to era that is conducive for spiritual practice. For those who are not practicing spirituality, they have to wait or be in this Bhuvalok or the netherworld for 100, 200 or 500 or more, depending when the time will be propice to be reborn again. So it will depend on their spiritual capacity and spiritual purity, whether they will be reborn in the positive era or they will be reborn in a different time. Another question from Krishna M. What SSRF will be doing during these World War III times? See, what we are now presently doing now, we are actually already starting for past 16 years. For the past 16 years, we have published articles to tell others, do something, work on yourself, prepare yourself. For the past few years, we have seekers who are actually writing articles. Some of them sometimes are working day nights, many hours during the day, 7 by 7, means 7 days a week. They are not taking holidays because they are writing articles. It takes a lot of manpowers and lot of energy of seekers to write article, to run a website. And we are actually active in social media, doing live stream, trying to tell us this is what we are actually doing presently. And also, let's say I was touring, in my case, I was touring with Caravan around different countries in Europe to tell about the difficult time. And this is something we will continue to do, to travel, to tell and help others, whatever we can do physically, or what we can do from our home, from the website. Or we have also online satsang, we have live chat. Whoever wants to learn is welcome. And wherever we can go at the physical level to tour and tell others, ultimately what we will tell others, try to do something, try to chant, try to practice spirituality. Of course, if somebody is in need, we will see how we can help them at the physical level. From Bina Vashani, why Almighty God is just sitting and watching everything? What is purpose to get this world destroyed? So actually, Bina Vashani, I can understand your questions, but sometimes this question comes because there is maybe a lack of knowledge. And actually, the beginning of the universe started million years ago. And if there is a age of the universe, we can put the link in the chat so you can read this article, because that knowledge may help you to understand that there were eras in the beginning of the universe more than million years ago where everybody was evolved spiritually. And because over the time, person didn't practice spirituality, so today we are in Kali Yuga. It is called the dark era or the era of strife, where human being is in a low spiritual level, and negative energy that was latent in the beginning of the universe is now much more active and predominant. So it is not that God is just sitting. Actually, God is actually in observer stance. It's called Sakshibad. And we have actually, in a way, created our own destiny. Whatever we are experiencing now, we are actually experiencing our own destiny. So God is, in a way, helping us if we are trying to change ourselves. But if we are just going through our destiny and not doing anything, God remains in observer stance. But if we try to change ourselves like seekers, they experience that God actually become active. This is what we call Guru principle or Guru Tattva. And this God principle is actually helping a seeker to change, to grow spiritually. And sometimes it change. See, in a way, predictions. God is, despite we have created our own destiny, still God is so benevolent that He is, through the medium of seers or mediums or saints, in a way, give predictions. So in a way, He is telling us, be careful, something will happen. He is in a way warning us, because even though we have created it, we have to go through it. He is still sending message to us through centuries about those predictions to come. And just to finish your questions about what is the purpose to get this world destroyed, see, God, there is a principle of God, there is this principle of creations, sustenance, and dissolution. So the world is created, is sustained for millions of years, and get destroyed, and again get created. See, God is beyond our imagination. It is beyond intellect. So, of course, we are on the earth, we are experiencing this, what we are experiencing now. We are going through this destiny, no? Ups and downs. But ultimately, what we can do is what is in our hand, is if we grow spiritually and we understand the knowledge by reading the websites, then we will understand, we will be able to see things in a different way. I hope it answers your question, Bina. There's another question from Amadesi. You said when there is radiations and everything is poisoned, how we will be able to do spiritual practice? Actually, we have also published on our website. We will paste the link. We have, when there may be radiations due to nuclear fallout, at that time there is, of course, spiritual practice is one aspect, and one is also performing a ritual called Agnihotra. But just to understand, this Agnihotra can be effective until and unless one have reached a spiritual level above 50%. And about when things is poisoned by, let's say, land or chemicals. So that's why to see that how we can prepare ourselves, we have there are the different things we can do to cleanse the water, or to, so because it will be more difficult. So of course, there's one thing I would like to share with you is when we practice spirituality or we grow spiritually, then God will protect us in some way or another. And I think I've shared in a real live stream one lady actually that came when we used to conduct this workshop of the 5 days workshop of the Maharishi University in India, when I was there also for many years. And one day one lady from Japan came and she came to the workshop and she wanted to grow spiritually, and something triggered her, because when she was younger, some event happened to her. She was at that time living in London, and she was in a supermarket. And at that time, she was on the queue to pay as a cashier, and she got a very strong thought just to leave. And she had no even control about what she did, and she just left a basket and left. So, and later, after some few minutes later, she saw a bomb exploded in the supermarket exactly where she was, and even the person in front of her died. And she was very puzzled by this experience, that how that thought was so powerful that even make her walk away without her understanding. And then she asked these questions in the workshop, because in the end of the workshop, there was this possibility at that time to be able to meet His Holiness Dr. Attabuli, that is a source of inspiration of SSRF. And she asked this question to him, what happened? And he answered to her, he said, because she had potential to grow spiritually, God saved her. And this is the way how God will save somebody who either practice spirituality or who have the potential to grow spiritually. So God will just give a thought of the person where to go. So because when there is a place that will be affected by radiation or poisoned by chemicals, there's not much we can do to protect ourselves. But if we practice spirituality, then God can give us a thought in which area or which place we can go. There is another question from Ravindra Bosle. You said that everyone dies his destiny. Then how spiritual practice will help in this World War III? Please guide. So to answer your first questions, actually you said also spiritual practice won't protect us from our death. Then what is the role of spiritual practice done in the forthcoming back time? See, actually we have our individual destiny, and we also have collective destiny. So what happens is, when we practice spirituality, what happens, I invite you to read the website also, how about karma of give and take account. So what happens, the energy generated by our spiritual practice start nullifying our destiny. See, so in the destiny of the person can change by practicing spirituality. Either the life can be extended or something can change. So that is possible with spiritual practice. So if the person is destiny of individual destiny as well as collective destiny to die in World War III, what can happen if the person practice spirituality and grow spiritually? Then they will be able to go to a higher plane of existence. They will be able to be reborn sooner in a positive era. But if the person practice spirituality, then this can be averted. The person can be protected by God, because this is what God wants. If somebody has potential to grow spiritually or is trying to grow spiritually, then God can protect. See, God is the creator of everything, no? So God can do anything only. God can do everything. There is another question from Santosh Jayaraman. In which months of 2022 will India witness its first devastating attack? Also, which India region will be affected? Will India face attack in 2022 or 2023? See, Santosh, we have mentioned that India will also play an important role. So it will happen, and I can't say exactly whether it will happen in 2022, whether it will happen in 2022, 23. We have witnessed for the past 1-2 years some sensitive situations that has happened already in India, as we have seen also what was happening for the past many months in Europe. So it can start anytime. That is possible. So that's why if we practice spirituality, see, we can't change. To understand that we can't change when it will start. But we can, at that time, we can use this time not to do something to change ourselves. Chanting God's name, it can be done anywhere, anytime. There is another question from Carlos B. So you said, I have to defend my country and my life fighting others. This means that I will commit sin. So my spiritual practice will go down because of the negative karma of hurting others. See, Carlos, here it's a question of depending when we fight to protect our countries. So it depends on protecting life. So that is saying if the person protects themselves, it's called self-defense also. Or sometimes we have expressed also someone who is, of course, when we kill somebody, we incur sin. Yes, it will happen. But whether it is done under orders to protect the country, after it depends. The sin will be there, but the one who gives the order receive more sins. But if it is in self-defense, it depends. There are, in regards to destiny and karma, we have explained the complexity of it. So that's why also practicing spirituality is very important, because if we practice spirituality, whatever situation we may face, whether we may incur sin or not, they may be reduced to some extent. From Vijay Niranjan, it's another question. Is everything predetermined? What's the percentage of fate and how much percentage is in our hands? That is a good question, Vijay. See, we have shared now there is actually what we call destiny and willful actions. So in today's time, in Kali Yuga, the destiny is 65%. And our free will, that is what is in our hand, is 35%. But in today's time, there is also this factor of collective destiny. So that collective destiny now is of 10%, and it is something that is not in our hand. So this aspect of individual destiny and collective destiny is more than 70%, 75%. That means our free will is less. It is 25%. But just to understand that even though it may look that many things are happening, that 1% of free will action used correctly by doing spiritual practice can override our destiny or collective destiny. It is possible. So this is just to understand, see, God is observing us, no? God is in observer stance. We have created our own destiny. We have created our own collective destiny as well. There is a reason why we are born in a specific country, in a specific city. It is our destiny for that. But God has created the entire universe. So if God sees that we are trying to do something using our free will, what is in our hand, to do proper spiritual practice, then God can change it. I mean, God can protect us. There's another question from N only. Is it possible to know whether animal torture in slaughterhouse or other place and where will finally end? It's a bit different questions, but just to share and that see, even now we're in Kali Yuga now. Everything what we see are incorrect. Many things are not proper as also. So now more people are turning also to change to vegetarianism. So it may reduce. It is not like it will completely end after 2025, but it may reduce to a great extent. So negative energy will not be completely become zero, but it will reduce to a great extent. So other incorrect things will still happen in the world, but it will be reduced. There's a question from Venkatesh, when the war will start in India. I think I have already answered the questions that it can start anytime. From Milindo Rao, you say it has drift country leaders and curse of this world is not divided in groups. So yes, the tough times, especially in Europe and part like India already started. How should we prepare for it? I think Melinda, I think probably your question might have been answered already, but what I share is what we can prepare ourselves at the three level, at the physical level, at the psychological level, at the mental level, and to prepare ourselves actually at the spiritual level. That is the most important. What I wanted to add here is, see, we are also emphasizing on our website to prepare yourself at the physical level, like medicinal plant, having how to cook, or preparing solar system, but just to understand storing food, but just to understand that if you don't practice spirituality, you put solar system in your house and you store food in your house, but you don't practice spirituality, and this place is to be affected by the difficult time, all will go to ruin. So that's why preparing ourselves is okay to do at the physical level, but to understand that if you prepare yourself at the mental level as well as the spiritual level, then you will secure your physical preparation. From Amnol Argaval, this is another question. It says, searching for SSRF is the biggest discovery. Okay, that is a nice comment. It is not a question, but it's a nice comment you are sharing. Thank you, gratitude, actually, Amnol. Many of you also are sharing very nice comment that you believe of what is happening. You are also happy with or grateful for the different articles that we are publishing, and to understand that it is done also by seekers, who are dedicating themselves, who are doing full-time spiritual practice for many years, because to bring a website, to bring articles together, take a lot of resources, time and energy. And I wanted to express gratitude to all the seekers who are actually doing tirelessly seva to keep this website, and especially His Holiness Dr. Artavoli is a source of inspiration of SSRF, who have actually provided all this knowledge and making all this knowledge available, as well as what we can do to prepare ourselves. You can say from Carlos, you say, is every seeker survive this war? So just to say, it's not because we call ourselves seekers. See, when we practice spirituality, let's say we call ourselves seekers, but what is our extent of spiritual practice? Whether our spiritual practice is correct or not? Is it based on the 6 basic principles of spirituality? And if yes, and the person is doing wholeheartedly, then the chance to be protected is more. But doesn't mean that somebody who does little bit spiritual practice will be protected. It's not by certainty. From ST, will the World War III mark the end of Kali Yuga? So not actually, it is just because we are in the beginning of Kali Yuga, we are only in the 5,000 years of the beginning of Kali Yuga, and Kali Yuga will continue for another hundred of thousands of years, but it will be actually the end of the universe. So this uh, beginning of World War III is actually the beginning of Kali Yuga only. Another question from Nanette. Which country in Europe are not involved in sorry, just I'll go back, apology. Which country in Europe are not involved in World War III? Are there any predictions? So this is one question first that you have is, see, presently we have shared that will be 50 countries that are going to join. We can't say by certainty which country, but we can guess depending on what we are witnessing now already, who is joining, who is supporting. We can understand to some extent which country may be involved or not. And your other question is, when nuke comes, can I do Agnihotra or does it go so well because of the distress? See, about Agnihotra, as I shared before, until and unless our spiritual practice is proper and we reach a spiritual level above 50%, then Agnihotra will not be of no use. And whether a person have distress, it may also reduce that aspect. So in a way to understand that this aspect of Agnihotra is there, but now presently it is better to focus on what we can do to change ourselves, like working of overcoming fear, worry, or reducing our ego. That is something that can help us to really increase our spiritual level, and also once our defect within oneself and ego reduce, negative energy cannot actually hold on us, because negative energy use our ego, our defect of personality to clash on us. To clench, sorry, apologies, correct word is to clench on us. From another question from Revelation, Faith and Peace, that's a nice nickname. Will Canada survive the World War III? About Canada, see, we can't again say that. We can just say that countries who are presently, many countries will be involved, around 50 countries. So there are important aspects I would like to share now. This is a World War III of countries that will be joining, and there are also natural disasters. We will be pasting also the link on the on the chat, because presently wherever you are, we can see in Australia now they are experiencing floods that they have never seen before, or wildfire or earthquake, volcano. Many volcano has been active in this year 2021. So in a way, during this World War III, not only war will be, but as well as natural catastrophes, natural disasters. So Canada has places that are not safe also. So we can't say which country will be safe or protected. Everywhere in the world, it will be touched, as we have experienced with the coronavirus. It has spared no countries. It has spread all over country in the world. Every single country has been affected by corona or Omicron. So the same way, whether it is World War III, pandemic, or natural disasters, it will touch every country. Some country will be very affected or destroyed. Some country will be less damaged. Some country will be safe to some extent. From Krishna, so worldwide communication will be completely cut off, right? So actually, the chances when there will be the peak of the World War III, at that time, the chances that the communications will be reduced to a great extent. So I can't say by certainty that it will be completely cut off, but there may be blackouts. There may be for months or weeks, with some countries, years. It depends on, again, which country will be affected. So some countries there will be complete cutoff. Some country may have partial or to a great extent. But definitely, which communication we are experiencing today will not be the same tomorrow. As we have seen with the pandemic now, we saw that people used to travel, do whatever they like and do, but now we can see things are not possible. Similarly, whatever the technology of free communications that we have today will not be the same tomorrow. Another question from Bina Vashani. You say the simple fact is that we are all mortal and have to die. Nothing belongs to us, land, water, air. Then why kill and fight with others? Why can't we fight with our greed, anger, and sadness, and desire attachment? See, Bina, it's a good point that you are bringing, that yes, we should actually fight with our own self-enemy. That is actually our greed, our anger, our jealousy, our attachment. And this is why we're in this time today. That's why human being has deteriorated to a lower spiritual level and are prone and entangled in materialism. So that's why we have to change that. We have to try to fight with this entanglement that we have fall to, and try to, in a way, spiritualize our lifestyle, to purify our mind. And that is, in a way, what will be later in the positive time. So, of course, we should try now to fight ourselves in a positive way, as I say, and ultimately we will be able to view what is happening in a different way, or we will respond to what is happening around us in a better way. For Melinda Rao, it's another question. To do our karma, karma is everything. Choosing right, doing right, supporting right is required. Krishna told Arjun, which is in a way the Bhagavad Gita, this when he asked the similar question. Guruji may explain, he may solve dilemma. So it's not clear to me so much your question, Melinda. But see, whatever is happening because of our destiny. And ultimately, we should try to use our free will, our willful actions to practice spirituality. Then only God actually can help us. Because as I shared before, God is in observance. No? So God look at us. God look at every individual of the world in observance since millions of years, and He will continue to do so for millions of years. And God is Sat Chit Anand. He is everywhere. He is all knowledge. He is all powerful, and He is everywhere, present everywhere. So God will help whoever is trying to seek God. God, He will help. So whether it's our destiny or karma, we should practice spirituality. Reading scripture, speaking about scriptures will not help us to grow spiritually. We have to practice it. There's another question from Trunk Nguyen. I am perplexed when using money towards preparing for World War III or donating to SSRF. Preparation, like with substantial method explained on the website, both ways are good for spiritual growth. What is best? See, as I shared before, if you want to secure your physical preparation, practice spirituality. So let's say we should prepare ourselves, know where we are. So whether I should put solar in my house, whether I should store some food. So that is what you can do by, of course, donating to SSRF is one. See, there are 7 steps of spiritual practice. One is chanting God's name. One is overcoming defect of personality, overcoming ego. One is service to God. One is attending satsang. means meeting online to be with seekers. One is sacrifice of money also, sacrifice, and then there is love for others, developing. There are different steps that we can practice. If we can try to practice more steps, then the better it is to grow spiritually. So some say, oh, I will just donate. It will erase my destiny, or it will protect me from the difficult time. So to understand that donating helps us in our spiritual journey, because it helps us to detach also. It helps us to also overcoming attachment, greed. It helps us also when we help saints, or when we help the spiritual website, we inquire merits. So it will definitely help us. But just to understand that we should practice spirituality also, because that may just not protect us. Sebastian, I cannot guide myself in spirituality and I don't live in ashram. So who will guide me when we are cut off from each other? How can I get proper guidance? See, Sebastian, when we practice no spirituality, at that time when we have sincere desire for God, or we have desire to grow spiritually, one way or another, God will help. There will be connected. God will connect. God will give you thoughts, where to go, what to do, or God will take care to make sure you are secured, or you can practice spirituality. So just to understand that, to increase desire to practice spirit or to grow to God, and practicing spirituality, whatever is possible in our hand, and then God will help in one way or another. There's another question from Live and Let Live. After World War, will internet work? It may not be, huh? Because see, when in some infrastructure in the world, or some city are destroyed, some country are destroyed, infra or technology are destroyed, so internet will not work. In some places where less damage, it may continue to work. It will depend of how much the infrastructure will remain. But just to understand that, as I shared before, this easy communication and all what we have now may not be so. In some places it may not be at all, and so it may be 10%, 20%, 30%. It depends. Apology. Is it possible to bring back the questions of the previous? Okay, I will continue. Live and Let Live. You say, will divine children, okay, I understand. Will divine children will guide the world after 2025? Actually, there are also, we have published articles that many divine children are born since many years, to be able actually to practice spirituality, because it becomes a favorable time, and also to help in the future in this positive time. Your question is, does chanting the name of God will help from radiations? See, again, same thing. Chanting helps us to grow spiritually. So radiation are at the physical level, so it may not help. But what chanting will do, if you practice spirituality and grow spiritually, then God will give you a thought, like I shared with a lady from Japan, that you will just get a thought to go in a different place if this place is where you are is supposed to experience radiations. And at that time you may get a thought to go to a different place. This is how chanting or gods can save us. If I fight against enemy country in the war, will I get negative karma? What should be minimum spiritual level to get in Satyayug? So I will first answer your first questions. As already answered, if we fight in a country, if we say under order, then we definitely incur sin, or whether it is in self-defense also, the complexity of karma is very large. So to understand that definitely we may experience or incur sin, but by practicing spirituality and chanting, it may reduce or nullify this aspect of sin. And the minimum spiritual level actually to be protected, minimum spiritual level is 50%. If the person reach above 50%, regardless of their religion, regardless of their path, God will protect them. And we can say ourselves also, okay, I am at this level. We can't say. Ultimately, God only knows. What it means spiritual level is this communion or connection with God. How much we are connected to worldly life or to our attachment or our desire, or how much we are connected to God. This is actually, will actually in a way, in short, explain what we mean by spiritual level. It's our capacity of spiritual maturity. And this is something we may not know, but if we practice spirituality wholeheartedly, as per the 6 basic principles, then God can uplift us. See, even now, there actually, usually a person can grow 1%. Sorry, apology, I will phrase it again. Usually, a person practicing spirituality properly can grow up to 0.25% per year. This is actually how it is in average. But in today's time are so difficult that if a person practices spirituality, a person can grow 1 to 2% per year. And if God's or Guru's grace come, a person can grow up to 3 to 5% per year. Because the time is such, now a person can grow 40 times more. That means 1 day of spiritual practice today is equal of 40 days of spiritual practice. After 2025, it will come back to normal. 1 day of spiritual practice will be 1 day of spiritual practice. We'll be able to grow 0.25% per year after 2025, because era will be easier. God can see if a person strive to practice spirituality, God look at us, and that's why it is possible to grow very fast. From Kartik Puranik, how long will our school, college, job remain? See, it depends how, as we can see today now in Ukraine, what is happening from one day to another, school closed now, school, college, jobs, people have to flee. Millions of people left their countries to protect themselves. So everything got closed, whether it is school, whether it is jobs, they lost their jobs, many people. There is you said, sorry, I will just go back. I wish this ends soon. I want to leave all this aside. I want to grow spiritually. From Kite Kur, you have a question. As a collective consciousness, if humanity has manifested the current calamities that are affecting the human race, can we then not stop it by raising our spirituality and consciousness? Can we turn this around and manifest peace? So Kita, it's a good wishes, it's a good desire, and we all want the same thing. That's why we are telling to practice spirituality, to raise the positivity in the atmosphere. That's why saints of the highest order has postponed the difficult time so that more people practice spirituality, so that the intensity or the durations can be reduced. So it is not like it will be no war at all. It cannot be completely averted. It will happen. But if we practice spirituality wholeheartedly and more people practice, it will increase the positivity, and so the duration of the difficult time will be reduced. Because ultimately, Kita, this is all what we want. We would like the world to be in peace. We are not sharing this to create fear, worry. We want actually the opposite. We want the world to live in a positive place. For years together, I'm practicing spirituality for more than 20 years, and the message is always the same. If person practice spirituality, then we will be in a better place, in a better world. But how many people are ready to change themselves? 10 years ago, 20 years ago, people are more entangled in worldly desire, in worldly activity, in fulfilling self-desires. Only when they see difficult time approaching, they say, oh, I should do something. But it's sometimes late, but it's never too late. There's a question from L.A. Ketzman, where to go to be safe out of Europe? As I shared before, going in other country may not be safe. Whatever country may not be safe. Some will be more problem than others, whether it is World War III or war, or we can say natural disasters or calamities. So I just wanted to see, because I think there is also different comments. I will read some few comments that you have said. You said, for Melinda, you said that you used to speculate all famous saints in India, but now I know. Okay, no, sorry, I will not. It's a bit out of topic. But yes, astrology also has predicted many things that can happen. And you say life and let life. You said conflict is increasing day by day, and we have made some right predictions. According to this is from Live and Live. You said some predictions that you have read somewhere, like Germany, France will be from Indian side. That we don't know, actually. And the SSRF provided us with a different point of view of spirituality, which is based on science. So it is, we are thankful to God for connecting to SSRF. You said, Nicola, I don't expect God to save me, but I try to set up my devotions and love for Him. That's the best thing we can do to actually increase our love for God and our devotion. I just go back also, some few questions are there. You said that from living wellness, how do you know what person's spirituality one is at, and what are the signs to look for? See, to understand where we stand spiritually. So of course, it depends. No, it's not something we can sometimes judge. We have an article on the website. We'll paste on the link on the chat. It's about spiritual level. So we give some understanding where actually it depends on how much spiritual practice we do. It will depend also of how many personality defect we have, how many quality we have, how much ego we have, if we have spiritual emotion or not for God, not psychological emotion, but spiritual emotion. So all these factors, or how much destiny we have, all these factors will actually define our spiritual level. But when we practice spirituality, we start experiencing less attachment to the thing around us. We feel to give more time to spiritual practice. So ultimately, to give an example, we look less TV, or we stop watching TV and we start chanting more, meditating, or we start working on ourselves. So like that, we start changing our habits, and we start working on ourselves, and we experience also different experience. We start getting what we call spiritual experience. It is something beyond mind and intellect. We also paste on the chat. We have an article about spiritual experience, and then we start experiencing. It can be for some experiencing of God's presence. It can be experiencing fragrance out of no stimulus. It can be also experiencing deep calmness, experiencing bliss. It depends. For everyone, it's exact experiencing something different. And then we start having more belief or faith in the spiritual dimension. So in a way, that we start understanding that we are on the right path, on the good way. And it's a matter of practicing spirituality. And then we will start experiencing change within oneself. We experience that we have less reaction, or we experience some bad habit is falling off. We experience more connection with God. So we understand that again, and it is stages. And when we grow spiritually, it's not like by one day we become self-realized. We experience step by step. So like that we grow spiritually. And this is a blissful journey, and it takes years to practice spirituality and to experience spiritual emotion or connection with God. But as I shared earlier, in today's time, God is fair enough. So if we practice spirituality today, 1 day of spiritual practice is equal to 40 days of spiritual practice. So imagine how much really we can say bonus, or how much fortunate practicing spirituality today is important. And that's why also many evolved soul, or we can say divine children, have decided to come back in this difficult time, because they can grow at a faster rate. There was a question actually from the beginning. It's a bit not connected, but it's good to say. It was from Krishna. So chanting means repeating God's name, be done outside or within. So actually, see, ultimately, there are a few ways when we start. We can start chanting aloud, because sometimes if we best is to chant from within at mental level. But sometimes if our mind is too crowded with too many thoughts, and we find difficult to concentrate, at that time we can chant aloud. It's possible. Or you can use a mala also, that a rosary bead, because it helps to count, it helps to focus. Otherwise, if you can try to move to chant from by mind slowly, then that has also more benefit. After that, if again same thing, too many thoughts, it can be done mentally, but with a faster pace. So that also helps us sometime. So chanting by mind or mentally is superior than chanting aloud. There were a question from Carlos. He said, will the divine kingdom be here in 2025 in the same instant, or it will take time? So when we mean by divine kingdom, is actually a positive era, and it will be there in 2025. That will not move. It will happen by the year 2025, but it will be at the spiritual level around us. There may be some devastation and shortage of different things, food or petrol, but we may experience at the spiritual level lightness and more positivity, and it will be also conducive to practice spirituality. And it will take years to rebuild and go back to a normal way of life. It will take some generations. Some also have said, I would like to develop spiritual love for others. It's a good question. It is something, see, we want to help others. So some you feel, I would like to help the one who are in trouble now, or who are suffering. I would like to develop love for others. See, first we should overcome what is stopping me to be able to love others or to accept others. It's actually selfishness or greed or jealousy or anger. At that time, this is stopping us to accept others and help others. So if we work on ourselves, then we are able to accept others wherever they are from any countries in the world. We have seekers from all over the world. We have seekers from Ukraine. We have seekers from Russia also. And they are in the same satsang, speaking to each other. Because spirituality is beyond everything. It is beyond countries. It is beyond language. It is beyond race. It is why actually unite us. It is a God principle within us. It is the soul, what we call the Atma. That was make us all one. And we have seekers from, in SSRF, seekers from all over the world. And when we met, whether we are from France, Germany, from India, from Asia, from China, or from Russia, or from USA, because we have all met. And when we all meet, we don't feel, I am from France, I am from Germany, or I am from Russia or USA. There is no animosity of such. We feel connected by this God principle, this soul principle within us. And that is blissful. That is the most precious experience that we can get as a human being, experiencing these divine connections. And then we will realize that or what is happening around us, we will not have this anger or this question, this feeling, why this person is doing like that, why this war is happening. We will understand we are actually all connected. And by practicing spirituality, we are able to grow spiritually and experience that the whole world is my home, the whole world is my family. And this is what, when we grow spiritually, this is what it will become, a positive era where human being will be more spiritually inclined. So that's why I encourage you, or I invite you to increase whatever you are listening to tonight, to increase your spiritual practice wholeheartedly. And those who have not started, do start today, not tomorrow, but start today, because it's never too late. As I remember, today we can grow spiritually fast. So dear seeker, it was nice to be in the live stream. I would like to share also that we will have a very good topic, means question answers, because what I say, good topic, because you can share all the questions on any topic. All questions are welcome, and that it is on 23 March, that means in 10 days. It is our live stream, so you can ask any questions about any kind. So you are welcome. And also we have online meeting. That is, we have more than 50 online meeting every week in English and other languages. So of course, everyone is welcome, because in those online meeting you can learn about spiritual practice. We have seekers who are practicing spirituality for many years, where in a way you will learn from seekers also, who will share their experience and on what they are working practically. We have also the live chat facility where you can ask questions. Don't hesitate, it is around the clock. We have a team of seekers who are from different time zones across the world. We are answering questions all the time. And of course, you can always support us. You can always support SSRF for preparing all those articles, live streams, touring. We will resume also touring, preparing for the time. Also donating to SSRF cause, you can always donate on our online website. And dear seekers, I wish you a blissful evening, and please practice spirituality. And when we feel close to God, then we are not worried or fear of what is coming, but we will be able to see how to help others. But first we should practice ourselves. Namaskar, dear seekers.